we've looked at the numbers, we've compared it to a 5-year-old computer, but how does the thing feel? How do we like using it? What is the daily workflow for you like? Now again, I'm reviewing it as a pretty heavy power user, not necessarily video production or some of those kind of power requirements, not even games, but in software development for compile times and design, and just being able to switch between applications quickly. So let's take a look. Cool. So the first thing, and this is just out of habit, so I've used this computer for about 2 or 3 months. The previous one I had for 3 or 4 years. And the first thing that sort of became a must in my workflow was just always using full screen mode. That's not, that's what it's there for. And definitely with the smaller screen, I found like, okay, I have to make every bit count. For general coding, and if you're like a web developer or a back-end guy where you're just looking at lines of text, I think the 13-inch screen is great. You really don't need more space. If you're writing something like Sublime Text, particularly on full screen, like this is a quite enjoyable experience. The portability is really nice. I loved being able to take this to coffee shops, co-working spaces, all the things. It was super light in my bag. I really enjoyed that. However, I'm an iOS developer, and usually my workflow does not look like this. Usually it looks like this. Now, okay, that guy's a little crazy, but as you can see, the window now to do the work that I need to do is much more limited. Let's go to another example. If we need to open up a storyboard, whatever your thoughts on storyboard, often they show up, whether or not they're the right approach. Anyway, now you can see our area to work is just way more limited. You can't have all the windows open. It's just quite small even to be able to see the thing that I need to do. If I want to connect an outlet, something like that, it's even worse. So this is what we're looking at. And it's pretty much unusable, unworkable, right? Now, I know what you're saying, silly. I'm sure you say silly on the internet. That's the word the kids use these days. Just close the panels, right? And of course that's what I'm going to do. And now it's quite nice. I can even close this guy, but I find that table is pretty useful to have. We'll maybe make it smaller. So, okay, now we have a great setup. We can work on this. Then when we're done, we can go back. And then we can kind of maybe add these. And we don't really need the debug menu when we're developing. So we can go back to code. The thing is, often I find myself, particularly building new apps or startup apps, you're going back and forth. You're going between code, you're building new screens. And so often these menus I'm toggling open and closed a lot. And I realized there's just something I didn't need to do. When I had a 15-inch screen, I could leave those things open a bit more often. I could still use full screen mode and just get away with more. On this guy, you really have to be toggling these things on and off in the workflow. And that was a little annoying. That being said, I, unplug, get rid of that, close it up, take it away, and I was pretty happy with my purchase. But what about other things? What about, how did that RAM work? How does it work when you need to open a million tabs? You need to open Sketch. You need to open Principal. Oh, my trial's expired, sad days. Okay. So already, actually, the frame rate has dropped. Like, it can't run expose with this many windows. And that was something that just drove me nuts. I think it has to do with the Intel Integer graphics, to be honest. But it stutters. Switching between spaces, it stutters. Switching between all these blank windows. We got Stack Overflow, maybe we got Apple, we got ATP, we got Mac Rumors. It does all right. Let's see, let's open up. Shoot. we just not register right now? I moved the keys, so I forgot about this. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, if we open something like Imovie, the whole system just starts slowing down, and it was annoying. I don't know if it slowed down more or less than my old computer. It's hard to say. Is this a clean installation? There's no encryption. The old one had encryption. Use a video. I did migrate stuff, but it was from a clean install, so I don't think that helped. But it just seemed like now it's a little smoother. Things weren't always so great. So if I also open like Code Runner, Terminal, like Git client. Alright, like these are the things I'm typically going to have open all the time. And it's starting to show, and I'm not sure, again, maybe if I got the 16 gig RAM it would have been better, but I think there's also a limitation of the graphics. So then when you start opening like your sort of day-to-day things like email, Slack, notes, calendar. Again, it does pretty well. You know, about the same as my 5-year-old computer, but that was the thing. At the end of the day, I realized something. As light and portable as this computer was, which is awesome, I didn't want something that was just as fast as a 5-year-old computer. I wanted something faster. I wanted something better. I wanted something more capable. And this really just wasn't that. And so I guess to jump ahead a little bit, I think this computer is a great computer. I really do. But it's not a great computer for me. It didn't solve my needs. It is not a great computer to make iPhone apps. It just struggles a little bit. And like there you saw it stutter really bad. It's just all these little things. Yeah, I guess I just hope for something more. I hope that the newer processor, the SSD, would create a better experience. And that wasn't what I got. I got a similar experience to 5 years ago, only in a more portable package. And that was disappointing. Maybe more RAM would help that, but I think that would only get me so far. What about some of the other things? So, you know, it worked. Obviously, the small screens, you can solve that. You hook it up to a monitor, do all those kind of things, which I have. I'll show you here in a sec. Alright, it's got a small screen. Don't hold that against it. Hook it up to a big monitor. Well, I have one of those. A 27-inch LG 4K display. Not the fancy one they made with Apple. No. This one only costs $300, which I'm quite happy with. It's a great screen. Not quite Retina, because 4K at 27-inch. I guess it should be 5K at that size, but anyways, it looks great. It works quite well. I just have it rendered in a 1080p sort of big mode. This again, though, sort of back to the whole problem of, well, my old computer struggled to drive one 4K display, particularly two 4K displays. The new one also struggles. Like, it's not any better. I would argue it's actually worse. I don't know if it comes across in the film, but just using Expose, the windows like stutter, the frame rate drops, switching between screens, it drops again. The whole thing is just kind of awful. And I get it. Maybe that's not the end of the day. You know, you can still get your work done. But like, this is Apple. This is what you pay the big bucks for. You pay for a great experience. You pay for smooth animations. And if a new machine in 2018 can't drive a 4K display with a lot of things going on smoothly, that doesn't seem worth the money to me. It's just not, it's not for me. So this drove me nuts. I've been using this for the last 3 months. I use it a lot like this, even just using the keyboard directly and having the screen here. Obviously also screen real estate problem, but the frame rate, the lack of performance was difficult. And yeah, I got like a lot of random things open. You can close things, that can certainly help. But in comparison, and I'll show you some what an iMac looks like, what a new 2015 inch. It's quite a different experience. Just so you know, so this is a USB-C display port. It goes to display port in the back of the monitor. So it is 4K at 60 frames per second. But yeah, so just kind of disappointed with this. Switching between stuff wasn't great. And anyway, finally the compile times. I mean, I don't know. I didn't run a benchmark or anything. I'm sure Geekbench helps that. Oh, that's right. We're in Swift 5 now. Okay. Anyway, you know, I think it is probably a little faster than the old one, but again, not by much. And so, you know, that wasn't much of a difference. Maybe if I had opted for the higher end i7, maybe that would help. I don't know. But again, you're hitting a price point that's so high. That's something that I wanted to avoid. Finally, one other thing, just point out my experience. I don't know, this could be anecdotal, so I won't hold it against it, but just so you know, for sure I use like Bluetooth accessories, all the fun things. Here we have some Apple stuff, and the Bluetooth on this was not great. It would often drop connection. It would, like, I found Apple accessories work really well, but with this Mac, it would lose them. The trackpad would disconnect. Sometimes the mouse, the keyboard always works great, but these two are a little lacking. And yeah, that's just, again, I don't know, not what you want out of a new machine. Maybe it's hard to tell. Sometimes it worked fine, and even on the old machine, sometimes stuff would disconnect. I also have somewhere floating around a Microsoft mouse. That's always had more issues. I don't know why that is, but which is too bad. It's a comfortable mouse, but the Bluetooth drops quite regularly on both machines, but even more so on this one. It was unusable. I mean, I just stopped using it. So I'm not sure why, because this guy has Bluetooth 5, which should be better than 4.2 in the older one. But then again, these are 4.2 or whatever devices. So I don't know. I mean, that'd be kind of weird, right? These are the older, the AA accessories, so I don't know if they'd work better with the older Macs, not as well with the newer ones. I don't know. So a quick note on the touch bar. It is actually pretty cool. So here you can see some specific commands for Xcode, so we can actually run the project right here. I think it failed because we need to update Swift. You can get to all the regular function menus. Anyway, I haven't seen this many times before. Yeah, it was surprisingly cool. For example, even for this video, if we want to record the screen, you get all these extra commands down here, like where to save. And that's pretty cool because it's not in the baked-in GUI. And it does make the whole thing, well, quite a bit easier. Maybe we'll put it on the desktop. And yeah, we want the whole screen. And then when we start, we can actually see the time. Oh, I guess it would help. Yeah, helps to autofocus. So there you can see the time, and you can actually stop it right there, which is quite a bit easier than trying to find it in the bar up at the top, which you can see, yeah, right there. Oh, yeah, I'm not even, yeah, right there. So, yeah, also in web forms and things, it was surprisingly handy. So the touch bar is cool. I don't know if it's the greatest thing ever, but it's cool. As far as the no escape key, it's kind of annoying. It's not the end of the world for me. I don't live in Vim or, oh, there, I guess it helps. You can see it. Yeah, I don't live in Vim or some of those other kind of environments, so it's not the end of the world for me. And the other parts were pretty neat. Even just here we can search and we can see some of our top rated or recently visited websites. So this is trickier filming than I would have thought. But yeah, so you can see, we can see some of our recently visited websites, and we could go to like GitHub, for example, and then it's gonna load the page. Just so I'm not crazy, you know, here on the older machine, I have a similar workflow. Well, let's see, let's open some more Safari windows. And the whole thing is smoother, like a lot smoother. This is just on its normal display, doing its thing. We got a bunch of stuff. We can open up some more things. And it's not perfect, but noticeably better. Well, now it's looking pretty good. I don't know. The frame rate does vary. Like sometimes. So yeah, it was just a little disappointing, I guess, to go to a new machine, and it felt more like a side grade, not really an upgrade. Okay, so what did we learn? Well, we learned that this is a good computer, maybe not a great one, and not the one for me. The Old Faithful was really good, and this is more of a side grade than an upgrade. Now, looking ahead, I know what you're thinking. Why not get a true upgrade? Why not get the 2018 15-inch? Why not get this guy? Well, and that's exactly what I all ended up doing. And I'll talk more about this in another video. But for now, let's just focus on what do we learn and what are the pros and cons of the 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro. So, I guess the overview, I would say the strengths of this computer are a couple of things. The size, the lightness, the portability is really great. It is powerful, just not extremely powerful. So maybe for someone else, it has a different kind of programming or has different workflows. Or maybe even if you're just a designer, right? Like when I was running in Sketch and things like that, the screen was small. It was basically fast enough to do that. So I could see if you're just a designer, I don't mean that as I just mean that you solely do design, you don't do coding, or maybe do other programming that doesn't require Xcode, which I know is a resource hog and also kind of needs a bigger screen. You might be really happy with this machine. Yeah. So I think the biggest limitations of it are the Intel integrated graphics, because whatever those benchmarks say in 2019 is just not great. And it can barely run its own freaking GUI. Even on the built-in screen, it's pretty good, but on a 4K screen, it just doesn't work. At least not, I don't know, to the standards that I expect, and I think that we all should expect from a machine that, you know, new costs $2,400 spec with this 500 gig drive. So I think the graphics is a really big downside. And I also think that the 8 gig starting RAM. I get it, you can configure it with more, whatever, but they call this a MacBook Pro. And that's the biggest takeaway that I could have. Using this machine, it didn't feel like a pro machine. It didn't feel like a tool. It felt more like a toy. It was cute, it was adorable, it was light, but it didn't help me do what I needed to do. And I think Apple really needs to have these start with 16 gigs of RAM. That's just what you need in 2019. I know they're waiting for Intel to move to the low-power DDR4 so that they go beyond 16 to say 32. So there's some constraints there. And somehow they need to figure out a way to put in a dedicated card, or Intel needs to figure. I don't know, but the Intel graphics engine just does not cut it. I would love to see an AMD APU, or a new Navi 7mm and a future version of these. I think that would be awesome. Another thing, thinking about size and stuff, it'd be interesting if you just moved to a 14-inch, so just slightly bigger, but not as big as a 15. But then if they could fit in a dedicated graphics card, I don't know, I think that could be a compelling device. So, yeah, in conclusion, what can I say? I'm not going to use this machine anymore. It's not going to be my daily computer. I got something else. But I think for the right person or for someone else, I think it could be really awesome. I love, I mean, just feeling it in my hands, it feels great. It feels solid, compact, light. I named it Tank because it's like a little tank. So yeah, it's cute and adorable, but ultimately not practical enough, not functional enough. And part of that too, right, was the Bluetooth issues I experienced. So even plugging it into a monitor, you know, and wanting that desktop experience, I just didn't get it. So, yeah, but hopefully in the future, this form factor can be more capable. So we look forward to that. Thanks for watching. I'll be having some other videos.